Welcome, I'm Alex, and I have left a career in finance and strategy consulting after 12 years to become an entrepreneur. Modern jobs want us to focus on brainy type of work, so it can feel scary for knowledge workers to take a creative path. In this video, I will talk about how we can find the drive and the courage to do this shift. This isn't an action plan to find creativity by applying shortcuts or growth hacks. It's about how we build a foundation to have a fulfilling and independent work life. So, since 2021, I became independent. I learned to code and I thought my success and happiness would lie in building a tech startup. But over time, I realized I was not letting myself explore all possibilities. Even when we make the jump from 9 to 5 jobs, creative fields still feel risky. And we think they are reserved for people born with a certain sensitivity or talent. So in my head, I was trying to find a rational plan to succeed financially and independently, when what I needed was some form of trust or belief in my inner desires and vision for how I wanted to live. Basically, nerding over cool knowledge, generating impactful stuff, and deciding how I spend my time. This realization became clearer when I recently read a book by David White, Crossing the Unknown Sea. Link in the description below, by the way. White is an author who jumped in his 30s from a career of marine biology to become a full-time poet and writer. It was a leap of faith that led him to produce 14 books and become a speaker on poetry and philosophy to larger audiences. He even consulted large businesses like Toyota and Boeing on organizational leadership models and building a culture of creativity in business. In the book, White describes the journey he made to realize what he wanted to do. He describes being a successful biologist in Galapagos Islands, probably one of the most exciting places for a biology guy, and then working for a non-profit organization. That successful life on the surface was filled with speed and busyness, but they were blinding him from his calling, poetry. Speed and busyness shield us from stopping and thinking about what we want from life. Making progress in a new direction is full of vulnerability and fears, and of course we don't want to do that. Most of our energy is channeled toward reaching success, but when we reach that success, suddenly large parts of our mental drive have no more jobs to do. We are left with a simplified version of ourselves. Often we don't recognize this simpler version because the goals were not aligned with our true selves. So we fill that gap with even more busyness, speed, and new goals. But since we haven't identified our true nature, these new goals risk leading us to the same place. In the book, White makes the point that there is work that is worth doing. He calls it good work. Good work is work that makes sense. Good work gives sense and meaning to the one who is doing it and to those affected by it. So, how do we find good work? We need to reconnect with the simpler elementary blocks of our identity. Those desires, curiosities we have, but which we have pushed in a deeper corner of our mind because society needs us to do something else. A way to do this is to reconnect with our inner child. White quotes poet William Wordsworth. The child is the father of the man, or he adds, the mother of the woman. By this, White means that whatever drew us to an exciting horizon formed the templates for our desires as adults. So in my case, the love of reading, my general thirst for knowledge is still there. It's something I love doing and I will be doing until my last day on this earth. And it's a great northern star for the creative work I want to do. So long form writing or video content that shares this thirst for knowledge with others. So recreating that sense of wonder from when we were kids is essential in an uncertain path like a creative path, because it will be the fuel that drives us forward. So we want to do something that gives us that spark and has a chance of impacting others. The only way to discover that spark is to do small actions consistently. Writing, recording, painting, whatever has meaning to you, whatever is a good hypothesis, start doing it in small increments. And start showing up as the person that does that creative work. By saying it to others, by sharing the work online or in physical form, we start to do that. But when we tell others about our desires, White warns us that we will be met with silence. Because if the goal of good work is deeply personal, it shouldn't be a surprise that most others don't get it. We crave support, we crave recognition, so we need to be aware that silence will be part of the journey. Recognition, likes, and validation cannot be the primary driver for why we do something creative. And because it's so personal, it's a high-stakes path. Failing in this creative path is a failure of our essence. In a way, this is also a useful test. If it doesn't feel scary, then you haven't identified good work yet. And after we have explored our desires and curiosities, we have to take the courage to pursue this line of work. This is one of the most important things in White's book. The word courage has the same stem as the French word cœur. Courage is having heart. No amount of rational, safe thinking will help in a creative endeavor which is close to our true nature. It becomes like an act of faith in ourselves and what we can bring to the world. As an analytical person, just reading these ideas and getting inspiration from White gave me the courage to just say, F it, I am the boss of my life and I will aim for good work. I don't need a business plan or goals to justify it. It's enough that I feel it. So what I take away from White's book is that to become more creative, we have to embrace the personal journey it calls for. A personal journey to understand the inner child in us, the one that is happy from a sense of wonder about the world. In the end, we have to take courage and commit to this personal journey without expectations about the outcome. Every day we create, we put an extension of ourselves into the world. This is good work. And I would argue this is good life. Thanks for watching. And if you like this video, please hit the like button. This channel aims to help a new breed of people, indie people. We want to learn and use critical thinking to innovate. We want to create and build with our own minds and hands. We want to live sustainably from our businesses and by investing our own capital. I'll be sharing weekly interesting content on living an indie life. Subscribe to this channel and hit the bell icon if you don't want to miss it. Take care.